What really matters is who's on the inside. So I don't have a one look suits all. It's a case of who are you and how do you want to show up?
For too long, talented experts with a service-based business, like coaches, consultants, and freelancers, have been losing out to the often inferior competition, and for just one reason: they struggle to communicate the true value of what they offer. This is made all the more challenging if you have acquired a personality or don't already have a solid marketing background. If you can relate, I'm excited that you're here because I believe that Value Whispering can help. It's the art of getting to know your true value, then weaving this through every interaction you have so you naturally stand apart from your competitors, feel aligned in everything that you do, and have an impact that matters. Welcome. I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, and I'm excited to be your guide in mastering the art of value whispering. With the release of the audio version of my book, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, I've been speaking a lot recently about how to show up with confidence and build your personal brand. And if you're not already familiar with my book, I have included the first chapter at the end of this episode for you to listen to. And if you have read the book, send me a snapshot of your review on Amazon and I will send you access to my bonus training and resources on networking worth £97. Now, one thing I have not spoken about on the subject of networking, and it's a big part of what enables us to create a strong impression and feel our best, is what to wear. So I am delighted that today I'll be speaking with stylist Sarah Gray, who specialises in helping introverted female business owners to style themselves with confidence. She is not only going to share insights from her own business journey, but also guide us in exactly how we can start to build our style so we can dress as the face of our business. If you've ever opened your wardrobe and declared, "I have nothing to wear," and I think that's pretty much all of us, right? Don't go anywhere. You are going to love everything about what Sarah has to share today. But before we dive in, I want to invite you to join us at the Dream Clients Club. It's a free community that accompanies this show and your business growth. It's where you can continue to discuss the themes from today's show and also attend weekly live marketing and mindset masterclasses with me, access business growth tools and training, and be part of a wonderfully supportive community of like minds. You can find the Dream Clients Club by visiting melittacampbell.com/club. The best part is that, just like this podcast, it's completely free and packed with ideas to support your business growth. You can find the Dream Clients Club by visiting melittacampbell.com/club. The best part is that, just like this podcast, it's completely free and packed with ideas to support your business growth. This is the kind of community and platform that many coaches will charge you a lot of money each month to be part of. But for you, our listeners, and all of my community, it's completely free. So come and join us at melittacampbell.com/club. Okay, so on to today's show. So hi, Sarah, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Melitta. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I'm really excited because the show is all about value whispering, which is understanding your true value, then weaving that through every amazing thing that you do. And one thing that we don't often think about, or maybe we think about it at the moment where we have to get dressed to go to a networking event or a photo shoot, is like, well, how do I dress to represent the kind of person that I want people, not just other people to believe that I am, but for me to believe that I am, and to feel you're most confident when you're out there presenting, meeting new people. So we're going to dive into how people can start to dress for being that face of the business that they are, and how to do that with confidence and their own style and all of that juicy stuff. But before we do, I'd love to know, how did you become a personal stylist and decide to make that your business in the first place?
Well, now that's a story. So I'll try and keep it brief. I was, like many of us businesswomen, I was in the corporate world. I was a sales person and a trainer, the training side of it. I loved the customer client contact and relationship building and all of that. That was my passion. The sales, no, didn't really enjoy that at all. But then I was moving house. I was moving from London up to the middle of the UK where I live now. And I didn't really want to commute back down to London every day. It was before the days of everyone working from home and all of that. And I would sort of fallen out of love with my job. You know, I wanted a job way back when where I traveled the world and all of that. And I did, I loved that. But then I got fed up with it and didn't want that anymore. So the opportunity came. I was moving house. My friends thought I was crazy because I was moving to move in with a guy that I had never lived with before. We'd been in a relationship for a couple of years. He is now my husband, I have to just add. And I was giving up work and I didn't have a job to go to. So I was early 30s at this point, and I had worked in some kind of job since I was 13. So this was the first time I'd never had a next job to go to. And it was an opportunity that was a little bit scary because I'd never not been in work, but all these other things started coming into my life. And my sisters, for instance, would say to me, well, I think you should do the style thing. I was like, well, what do you mean? What style thing? And they said, well, you know, when you tell people what to wear and you know, you help people get dressed and all that. And I obviously knew that that was a thing because you hear of celebrities and you hear of, you know, TV stars and what have you, having stylists. But I didn't really realize it was something that the average, or not even only average, but the, you know, the everyday woman could access. Anyway, that planted a little seed. But I thought I'm not confident to do that. I'm such an introvert, really. And I was like, there's no way I can do this. But my other sister said to me, well, of course you can. Don't you remember in school, everyone used to copy what you wore? And they were giving me this image that both my sisters had of me that was so far away from the image that I had of myself that I just thought, okay, I think they're crazy, but maybe there's something in what they're saying. And I started to look at retraining. Thankfully, my now husband sort of rolled his eyes and went, well, if that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do it. Didn't really understand what it was. And I had his backing. I know financially I could support that myself at the time. And it was right, all guns blazing, let's go and retrain. So that was nearly 18 years ago. And I've never looked back. I mean, it's just been the best thing I've ever done. I was scared. I'd never run a business before. My dad is my kind of inspiration. He was a business owner. He is retired now, but so I always knew that it could be done. Didn't know how on earth I was going to do it, but there was someone in my family who'd done it. So that was something to hang on to. And I've grown as a person unbelievably so over the time that I've been running my business. And I would say that probably now I'm in the best place of all those almost 18 years in terms of my confidence, my direction. And I am fortunate that I can help other stylists now on their journey for their business too. So very long story, but that's how it happens.
Yeah. Oh, what a wonderful story. And thank goodness for sisters. Hey.
Yes, quite.
You know, in the process of value whispering, the first part is to understand your true value, but it's so hard to do that for yourself because things that we do and things that we do maybe a little bit differently or think differently to other people, or perhaps we do something that others haven't even thought of doing. We miss that because it's so inherent to ourselves and how we feel a little bit shy and unconfident, but other people see us in such a different way. So I love that your sisters helped you to have that perspective, say, well, no, you've already been doing this. You're already credible in this space and we can see you doing this. So sometimes we need to go outside and get these perspectives and as I say, take those experiences and people that have had successes in the past, like your father, and lean into that and say, well, okay, I think I can make a good go of this. And sometimes that's all you need to take that first step and then figure things out from there. So once you decided, okay, I'm going to retrain and I'm going to be a personal stylist, but not necessarily for celebrities, for people who just want to look and feel great and not open their wardrobe and think, oh, out of all of these things that are bulging out of my wardrobe and I have nothing to wear, I'd like to really help with that dilemma. You mentioned that you didn't feel that you were a business person, but is there anything that you remember as a kind of point in that journey that you thought, this is what it takes? Not necessarily a big breakthrough, but a moment where you felt, yes, now I feel I have a business.
Yeah, I'd probably say that it's happened a couple of times because, we all know that the business journey is not flat and it doesn't only grow. So we've got this sort of roller coaster of ups and downs, haven't we? And so I remember when I was thinking of coming back to work after our first child. So he's now nearly 15. So I'd been running the business about 3-ish years, say. And in my head, I'd had an ideal that I wasn't going to be a working mum. I was going to be fortunate enough to stay at home with the kids. Well, then I got to the point of, oh, hang on a minute. I've worked really hard for my business. And yes, I've taken a little break for maternity, but I don't want to walk away from this. So I had to get my own head in gear in a different way and go, no, actually, I can combine the two. It might not be full time. It wasn't. And that took quite a long time to get over because I'd got those 3 years under my belt, which were a brilliant 3 years, huge learning curve, had a successful business. I just wasn't ready to walk away. So that was one point, I think, where I thought, yeah, I've nailed this. But then the industry changed, the world changes. We had another child. All these things get thrown at you, don't they? And I think it's taken me probably another, well, I would say in the last 2 years, the structure of the business has changed, the way I work has changed. And now I think because I've been able to, not on my own, I've had to reach out for help, like you talked about before. And that's a whole different topic of conversation, is it? Because it's not easy. I don't find it easy to ask for help. But I have reached out, I have brought experts in to help me. And I've now believe that I've got a business that will sustain me for however many years I want to keep going. So I think it's happened at a couple of points for different reasons.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And we often say on the show that where you start is never where you end up. Because
Absolutely. Yes.
you,
Very good. Yeah.
as you say, you learn and grow so much in that process
Mm,
personally that suddenly you start somewhere and then you realize, oh, actually, I can do all of this. And then
yeah.
you do all of this and you realize, nope, I can't do everything. And
Yeah.
then you have that opportunity to rethink, revise, and really refocus a little bit. And so, yeah, you are always learning and changing. And
Mm,
what our business looks like and what we want from our business at different seasons of life as well can change as well.
yeah.
So, but I
Mm,
think that's the beauty of it, that we can reinvent and rechange and rejig things so it perfectly suits us all the way through. So it's nice to hear that those are some of the moments where you've had those realizations that, oh, well, this iteration of my business is wonderful, but now I need it to support me this way or allow me to work in this way. So yeah, it's nice to hear that we have that option and that.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I think I think when you're self-employed and running a business, it's hard to remember that sometimes, that you do have the flexibility to change things. And I say it now as if it was an easy decision to change things. It's never been easy. So I say it now as though it's flippant, but it's tough at the time of making the decision, isn't it? But all for the good. And even if things don't work out on a particular change, I've always learned something from it and maybe made another change to put it right. But yeah, so I think you're right. We're lucky, I think, to have that flexibility and just need to remember that. So
Yeah, I know in her books, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, Susan Jeffers talks about
yes.
how there is no wrong decision
Mm,
because you either have a short learning curve or a very long one, but you still
yeah,
get to where you want to go one way or the other. So
that's it.
yeah. So in those moments, you mentioned that the journey, and I know everyone's nodding along, thinking that you described it as a roller coaster, that
Yes.
it doesn't always go straight. There's a bit of a tango as you kind of move back a few steps and forward a few steps and learn everything, and you have some difficult decisions to make along the way. Is there anything you've done or that has helped you through that? Has it been like your family? You mentioned them earlier, helped you at the beginning. Have they helped you in those moments, or is there any other tips that you've discovered that perhaps other people can use as well?
So yeah, two things. So one, yes, I am very fortunate because my family are very supportive, and even the kids are like, "Come on, mum, you can do it," and that is just wonderful, isn't it? But I think the hardest thing, but the most valuable thing, is to surround yourself with other female business owners. And that's what I've done. And a bit like the business journey and how the business changes over time, sometimes the groups of women change too. So you might spend a couple of years in a networking group, but then you might outgrow that, or just find that actually it's changed in some way and you're not, or you've changed and you're not quite aligned with it anymore. But I think for women, particularly women, I think because we network and we do business in a different way to men, I think we need each other. And I honestly believe there's nothing more powerful than a group of women supporting each other. And I love that. I love offering support to other female business owners. Well, don't have to be female, but I generally network in the female arena. Um, and it can be equally, if not more, to get the support back. That's what I would say. Surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that your network is better than Google, because you can
Oh yeah.
Google answers, but you don't know if it's right for you or how to apply that. But if you can turn to someone in your network and say, hey,
Yeah,
have you struggled with this before? Or I love that you did that. Have you got any advice? Then they can share with you everything and check in to give you support as you go and implement new things. And people are so wonderful, in my experience anyway, and it sounds like it's your experience too, at
it
sharing and
absolutely is.
supporting each other. I talk about it in my book, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, about
Mhm.
creating your success circle, which could just be one other person who gets your vision and is really passionate to see you succeed and supports you along the way, and you do the same for them. And it could be up to like 5 people in that close-knit circle,
Yeah,
but then having that wider network as well.
yeah,
So you see people in different situations doing different things, because you're a stylist, maybe someone else is a teacher or photographer, but they'll still take lessons away from what you've done, because it's
absolutely.
all business and people at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think as women, well, I don't know. I'll talk about me. I have always, as I said before, found it hard to reach out and ask for help, or found maybe I didn't find the safe enough spaces. So when you've got your success circle, as you describe it, I love that. It's a safe space. You can be honest. Business isn't always rosy. You'd think it was if you only relied on social media. But when you actually get down to the nitty gritty and talk to real women out there actually running their businesses, we know it isn't always rosy. And it's lovely to have that space in order to feel like you're not on your own, and to get any advice and support that you might need.
Yeah, and to understand the reality of the situation. I was at
Mm,
a networking event sort of for entrepreneurs at the weekend, and this lady came up to me and she was, I find you so inspiring. You've done this, you've done that, you have this idea, you go with it. And I had to point out, I've been doing this for 16 years already. She's been doing this 6 months.
yeah.
So if you see me take an idea and implement it, it's because I already have the tracks to run on. It's more like a little tweak. It's not starting anything from scratch. So yeah, you can start to help encourage people by saying, it's not magic. It's hard
Yes,
work.
yeah. That's the bit that we don't put out there, is the hard work that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah,
and the
exactly.
and the longevity of it. Yeah,
Yeah, it all takes time, and we
it
really need
does.
to give ourselves that space and grace. But in asking for help, it can feel a bit vulnerable, like, oh, I should know how to do this. And I think as women, we're often conditioned to do everything, to have all the
Mm,
answers, and not to ask for help, or certainly not to feel guilty
yeah,
about asking for help.
that's so
I think
true.
that was one of the first things I learned in my business, because like yourself, my first daughter was 6 months old when I started my business.
Mhm.
And so I had to ask for help. And I just decided early on, I'm not going to feel guilty about this. I'm
Oh,
not going to feel
absolutely.
guilty about taking the time I need, asking for help, taking some shortcuts if I think it's going to help me get where I want to go.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the best decisions I made for myself. It's been a game changer. But yeah, other people feel like really guilty or waiting for permission. Am I allowed to ask for help?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. I often tell my clients, think about it the other way around. If someone came to you and said, "Oh, I love how you did that webinar. Would you mind me asking how you did it?" How would you feel? It's like,
Mhm.
you'd love to help me. Yes. Oh my gosh. Here's everything I've learned. It was a nightmare, but I'd be really happy if someone else can like have it easy. We all love to share and our advice and help others. So
We
we can keep
do.
that in mind. Yeah.
We do. And 9 times out of 10, we might have come from a corporate where we're an expert in that particular job. We've got an IT department we can call on, an HR department, a marketing department, and all the other departments that we need. But when you're on your own, you've got to become all those departments. But
Yeah.
then you actually don't, because you reach out to the people. That's what I took a long time to learn, is that I don't have to. I hate doing my accounts, so I have someone do them for me. It's like you can reach out and have those departments covered by others when you're either don't like it, don't want to waste the time doing it, or you just need the help because you don't know what you're doing with it. So yeah.
Yeah. Actually, one of my very first clients was a bookkeeper, and her biggest question was, "But will I ever find clients?" I'm like, "You have no idea how many people are really crying and
Yeah.
waiting for you." I said, "In fact, I will be your first client. Will you do my books? Because I really don't like it." But she was so, really, I can do your accounts, and she got so excited, which made me think, yeah, if we offload the stuff we hate, someone else loves this and can do it
Totally.
brilliantly. And something that had taken me, I think, about by up to that point, about 20 hours of procrastination. So I actually hadn't done anything. It
Yeah.
took her 2 hours and she did the
Yeah.
whole lot. I was like, oh, why? Why did I wait?
That's it.
So I want to talk about styling. Obviously, that's the reason you're here with us today. Um, do you think we talked about how our business is a bit of a roller coaster and things change? Do you think people's styles changes alongside that, or is it a case of, this is what suits me and that's what will suit me forever?
We most certainly change, and we change on lots of levels in terms of our style. So I think we experiment when we're teens and 20s and what have you, but in terms of running a business, I think if we've come from a corporate background, that there's a lot of our style left over from there. If there was a dress code that we had to adhere to, which of course we must always do in that scenario, but then we can be a bit floundered, like, oh, I don't really know. I went to a networking event and nobody was suited and booted. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, because I was, and I'm not sure, because every other business event I've been to has always been very formal, but these weren't quite so, and it just can make us a bit uneasy. And that's what sometimes happens to my clients. But as they get more into, and a lot of my clients have most likely done some work on themselves in terms of personal development, looking at their values particularly. And once they start to really learn who they are, I can then get to know them and pull out who they are, because often there's a hidden stylist in them. It's like, I try to allow my clients to be their own stylist, and often it's hidden, but it's overshadowed by, oh, I should wear this, or I should wear that to that event, and I probably ought to wear that. But actually, unless we've got a dress code to adhere to, which we would always do, it's about pulling us out of who we really are and allowing our personality and our values to shine on the outside. So in terms of how we put things together and our outfits, we change because we're more able to be ourselves, and we're not trying to live by rules of what we should do. That word should, I always want to ban it. In terms of our shape, for instance, our bodies change. And I always coach my clients to dress for the body they've got, not the one they think they want. So we change for all sorts of reasons, health reasons, age reasons, all manner of things. And yes, of course, we can do something about that if we want to. But most often I find that my clients, they might be battling with weight or something like that, which actually prevents them from showing up as their true selves, because they just go, oh, I'll just wear this, it'll do, and it'll this, that, and the other. But actually they never feel very good about themselves because they're not investing in themselves. So I say, well, look, you are perfectly entitled, and you deserve to look and feel great now. And if that changes in 6 months, 12 months, so be it. We'll address it again then. But right now, dress that body that you've got, not the one that you think that you want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, great message. And I think great message to me as well, because I'm always thinking, yeah, I'll just wait until I lose this little bit of weight. And oh, it's coming up to the spring, so I'll walk a bit more. So I'll wait until, I'm always waiting and doing very
Yeah.
much what you say, just making do with what I've got. But yeah, it was funny that, just as you mentioned right at the beginning, in my corporate career, I worked in private banking, was my last career in Geneva. So, very styled suits,
Yeah.
beautiful shoes, always
Yeah.
your nails done. You always had to look amazing
Yeah.
because you were dealing with billionaires every day. So you already had to look the part. And then I went from that to being a mum. So I was just wearing very baggy clothes
Yeah.
and things that just stained the whole time. And then I was like, well, what is my style? Because I don't want to be that slobby mum, but that overstyled professional wasn't going to suit my business either. Because, well, one, I wanted to be seen as me and not just another corporate person, but also I was starting to work with more individuals and smaller businesses who I wanted to feel that they could relate to me.
Yeah.
But then I really struggled with my style for so long, until actually for my 40th birthday, I treated myself to a stylist for the day, which was just so amazing. I mean,
Fantastic.
yeah, it was an investment, but honestly, it saved me so much money in the long run.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
fine, I was visiting, is it Manchester with the bull ring?
The bull rings, Birmingham.
I went to the bull ring, which is a huge shopping center. And I just went straight in every shop. I was like, have you got this kind of thing in this kind of color? And they were like, yes, it's over here, or no. I was like, thank you. And I did the entire shopping center, and I got myself 4 gorgeous outfits that could interchange. And I was really happy with in an hour and a half. And I was like,
Perfect.
wow, I am so happy. Before, it would have taken me days. I would have got a whole load of stuff that didn't really suit me, but it was on sale, or it was kind of like, oh, maybe, and
Yeah.
nothing would fit together. So I was really happy with that investment. But if anyone is listening to this and they are in that kind of transition stage, is there a start point where they can start to find and define their own style?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always start with your personality, always, because I've got tools I can use. I can tell you about, if you want to disguise a tummy, what to do, or you want to wear, certain colors that suit and all that. They're my tools to, put the icing on the cake, so to speak. But what really matters is who's on the inside. So I don't have a one look suits all. It's a case of who are you, and how do you want to show up? How do you want the world to see you? So we do a lot of work around that. So have a think about your personality. Start with your likes and dislikes around clothing. It could be as simple as, I love wearing florals. No, I don't like florals. Or it could be, I don't like anything patterned. I love plain. Or I really love a tailored look. No, I can't stand it to be constrained by a tailored look. It's different for everyone, and that's right. So it's really allowing yourself a bit of space and time to really think about your likes and dislikes around clothing. And one of the best ways to do that is to actually stand at your wardrobe and do it. So you can think, right, what are my favorite pieces? Doesn't matter if you're not wearing them at the moment, doesn't matter if they're too small or too big or whatever. It might be that you love something because, but you've never thought about why it's because, but it might be because it's the fabric, it might be the cut, it might be the color, it could be all manner of things. Just hone in on what it is you love about that particular item or multiple items in the wardrobe. And eventually, the more you do that, you'll have a common theme of what you love and what you don't love. And it helps you to really nail down, well, actually, I don't even like wearing skirts. Why have I got half a wardrobe full? And it stops you going and, like you've said, you're not wasting the money on things that you're not going to wear anymore. It might be that you think, actually, I've got all these baggy sweaters. Well, I don't really like going out like that, comfy on my sofa like that, but I've got 15 of them. I really only need two, so I don't need to go and invest in another one, because what can happen is we'll go out, don't know what we're looking for, and buy something that's similar to what we've already got, which is not helping anyone. So it's about starting with your likes, dislikes, and really understanding those, so that you can then look in your wardrobe and know the pieces that you can reach for, or that you want to replace because they might not fit, or they're just simply worn out. But you know what you're heading, roughly what you're heading for, and you don't go and put more things in there that you are on your dislikes list.
Yeah. I love that. And as you were saying it, I was like mentally going through some of my clothes and thinking, oh yeah, I'd never thought of, you know what you like and you don't like, or what you wear more often than the ones you don't wear, but you don't stop to think, well, why is that?
Why?
What is it about that makes me feel great in this and not in that version when they're very similar? So I love that exercise.
And it's a great exercise, because you know what you feel good and what you don't feel good in, but all it does is just give you that extra level of understanding as to the why around why you feel so good. But also you can take into account other people's compliments. So stereotypically, somebody pays us a compliment and we go, oh, this old thing, or oh, I just picked it up on sale, or whatever. But actually, they wouldn't say it if it really didn't look great and you really did look good. And we have to learn as women to smile, say thank you, and think, right, okay, she said that for a reason, and yeah, just another little thing we can take on board.
Yeah, I had a shirt once and it was so different at the time to anything else I had. But every single time I wore it, people always said, "Oh, you look great today," or that shirt really suits you. Every single time they commented on it. And it was something I got on sale for like a fiver, it was really very cheap and cheerful.
Yeah.
But I've discovered after a while, it was the color. It was like this bright pink, not like overly bright, but it's like it was just the perfect color. And since then I thought, oh, what if I could buy more brighter colors?
Yeah.
And this was starting to shake off that corporate conditioning that you can only wear black or really muted colors.
Mm.
And I bought a jacket in that color and I loved it so much. And I just wore it all the time. So I wore it to this networking, to an event where it was, I think there were about 100 people in the audience. And they were saying that, women should have permission to show up their own way in a corporate office and so on. And then I looked around and everybody was wearing black apart from me. So I felt very proud. I was like, yes, I'm actually living that now.
Yes.
But yeah, it can take a bit of time to realize this, but I like that structure where we can kind of shortcut that process and just consciously ask, well, why do I love this? Yeah. And what other people have pointed out. Very much the same as what we were saying earlier about how to find your own true value. It's how to find your style in the same process. Yeah. So when it comes to dressing as the face of your own business, is that the same process, or do we need to add in another layer into that?
The process is generally always the same. However, what I think is really important, when we are the face of our own business, is that people aren't buying our business, they're buying us. And so it's so important. We're not hiding behind a corporate logo, a corporate structure, a culture. We are it. And so it's even more important that we show up as our true selves. Within that, there are going to be industries that, so I have a client who is a financial advisor. Now, she is very much from the corporate world, way back, but she deals mainly, her clients are women, sometimes elderly. Now she feels quite uncomfortable, although she's quite classic in the way she dresses. She does like tailored clothes. She feels quite uncomfortable going into an elderly woman's home dressed in that way. So we just take it down a notch to she still has her comfort and her personality with a tailored dress, but we don't put a matching jacket. We might put a different textured jacket with it, for instance, or a biker jacket. It depending on who she's seeing. So she's still very much herself. She's not being someone she's not, but she's just tweaking it a little bit to be right for the client that she's seeing at that moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. With marketing, you often think, what do I want someone to think, feel, and do as a result of
Yeah,
this
yeah,
message or this event or whatever? So it's almost the same thing you're doing with your clothes.
yeah.
How do I want people to see me, to feel, to respond to me? I guess in some cases you want them to feel a little bit intimidated, even depending on
Yeah,
what, if you're an expert going into quite a male dominated industry, for example, you might
yeah,
want to have something that says power
absolutely,
and shush and
absolutely.
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Whereas, as you say, if you're going into an elderly woman's home, then you want something a bit softer and
yeah.
more
That's
caring. So yeah, yeah, I like that. Thank you.
but still always fundamentally being yourself. And
Yeah.
you talked earlier about when you were in the banking industry and about how your shoes were so important, and that was you putting your personality on a very conservative way that you had to dress. And that is something that is brilliant. I love all of that bringing personality in even when we're under strict guidelines,
Yeah, that was one thing I miss about the corporate office is being able to have a nice range of lovely shoes.
Yes.
So Geneva is the old town is full of cobbles and it just kills your heels. So I was like,
Oh.
so when it comes to your style and dressing and your appearance and everything, is there anything that we should definitely not do or some essentials that, don't even leave the house without this?
Definitely don't compare yourself to others. That's a difficult one not to do because I think human nature is we do it. Sometimes we don't even notice we're doing it. Take inspiration from others. I love to people watch and see how people put outfits together and get new ideas. And oh yeah, that's great. So inspiration can come from others, but don't compare. Oh, she's always looking like this, and I feel this, and you're always down the way, because actually other people are looking at you and thinking, oh, blimey, look, she's looking great. And I think a little bit of makeup is great for women. We don't have to be fully faced up, it's not for everyone. I think even a smile and a little bit of lipstick is never leave the house without those. But if you need one thing that you need to invest in, make sure you've got a long mirror, because so many women only check this top half. And actually, it's because we're not comfortable at looking ourselves in the mirror. So there's a reason we don't own long mirrors. But the best thing you can do is invest in a long mirror. So you check the whole thing before you leave, and just make sure everything's tucked, or not tucked, or wherever it needs to be. Yeah, long mirror.
Yeah, that's so true. So often I'm getting dressed and like, yeah, I look good. And then I look in the mirror and think, nope. Change the jacket or, there's just something that isn't quite
Yeah,
coming across the way I want. So
yeah.
yeah, brilliant advice. Thank you so much, Sarah. Sarah, you have covered so much. And I know you've got a tool for people to help them with that. Like, how do you dress to be the face of your business? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. It's a document that just talks you through the different elements that you can consider. So we've talked a little bit about some of that now in terms of who we are and our values and our business values. And as business owners, our personal and business values are so intertwined, aren't they? And rightly so. And so it talks a little bit about knowing those, and then on how to transfer that to the outside so that you're shining on the outside too. It talks about tools that you can use in terms of colors, and there's a bit about color psychology and all that kind of thing that you can have a little skim over as well. So hopefully it just gives people who are struggling to make that transition into a new business, or from or changing a business, just a few ideas about what they can consider.
Sounds fabulous. Thank you so much. And as I say, we've covered so much. Is there anything that you think we haven't touched on that actually listeners might find quite helpful when it comes to feeling confident in their style and showing up the way that they intend?
We have covered a lot. I think not really an addition. I just really truly believe that the more we know ourselves and the more we show up as ourselves, then that is how we shine, and that is where the confidence comes from.
Yeah, full permission to be yourself and dress that.
Completely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Sarah, thank you so much. And if people want to know more about you and styling, where's the best place for them to find you?
The best place for me is LinkedIn. So I'm Sarah Gray Styling on LinkedIn. I do have a website, sarahgraystyling.com, and I love to connect with new women as well. So thank you very much for your time and for the chat.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. I had a little bit of vested interest in this because I'm like, oh, my style's changing. Let's get Sarah on the show. Get some tips for myself. So thank you for sharing so much. I think we've all taken away lots of notes and can go away and actually start to work on our style and understand a little bit more about what works for us and why, so we can build that confidence. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'll put all those links underneath in the show notes so anyone can click straight through and find you.
Thank you so much. You're very welcome.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you have found this episode valuable and are all set to shine through your style, be the face of your business, and feel your best the next time you step out of the front door. If you have enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to help another business owner to grow by sharing the show with your network and business besties. Drop them an email or share this episode on social media. And if you leave a review for the show on iTunes, this does a lot to help more entrepreneurs to find the show. It just takes a moment, but know that when you do, I'll be doing a happy dance here in my office and more business owners will find the show. Again, I would love for you to come and join us at the Dream Clients Club and to welcome you to our next value session. These are weekly live masterclasses, and in the next one, I'll be talking about visibility confidence. It's completely free to join the community. You'll find us at melittacampbell.com. There are a lot more tools, tips, and insights coming up for you in the next episode. But before we get to that, here is the introduction to A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking for you, as promised. As an introvert who grew up feeling shy and awkward around strangers, networking was always a terrifying prospect. So you can imagine just how amused I am when I'm told that I look like such a natural networker, or when someone remarks, "I could never have your confidence." Little do they know it's taken me close to 2 decades and a lot of hard work and courage to reach this stage. I know that I'm far from alone in my battle with networking. And yes, it really did feel as terrifying as going into battle in the early days. And occasionally it still does, if I'm honest. But I've learned just how powerful having a strong network is and how enjoyable the experience can be. This knowledge helps me to push through any wobble moments and come through the other side feeling happier and stronger and ready for the next battle. Over the years, my network has presented me with so many incredible opportunities and wonderful friendships that I would never have experienced if I'd not learned the skills and taken the courage to push myself out there into the network sphere time after time after time. With this knowledge, I wanted to write this book to share how you too can overcome your fear of networking and what I've learned works. However you feel about networking right now, and no matter how shy you believe yourself to be, you can become comfortable with it. And it is so worth the effort. You have so much to gain. Shy girls and boys can network, I promise. In fact, as we go on this journey together, I'll show you the many ways in which your inherent skills as an introvert can actually be to your advantage when it comes to networking. I'll also share my secret hacks to getting around those moments when your doubts stand in the way of your good intentions, setting you free to enjoy a lifetime of new connections and opportunities. And that's important because we all need external perspectives, additional support, fresh inspiration, or encouragement from time to time. That is what your network will do for you. It's the ultimate shortcut to everything you want to achieve. At every stage of this book, I want you to be mindful of two things. Firstly, that this is your journey. And secondly, that there is no right or wrong way, only your way. If any of the ideas I suggest or steps I share don't feel right for you just yet, then take a moment to think about what would. You don't ever want to be or try to be someone that you're not. It's when you show up as your real self that you will feel most comfortable and be able to connect with others most powerfully. That said, you do want to grow into the best version of yourself, one that's capable of realizing all of your goals and dreams. And this takes growth. And growth takes courage. The good news is, I know you can do it, and I am going to give you clear guidance every step of the way. I've split this book into two parts. The first will go behind the scenes and help you prepare yourself for the journey ahead. To push outside your comfort zone is never easy, but where willpower can fail us, a system can step in and help you continue to move forward. That's where my victory formula comes in. I'll show you how you can use this formula to build a foundation for success based on a clear vision and growing confidence. It will keep you getting out there, even when every fiber of your being just wants to curl up safe at home with a mug of hot chocolate and a good book. In the second part of this guide, we will dive into the network sphere and see how it all comes together. I've split this section into 3 subsections: pre-event, in-event, and post-event. As soon as I mastered what to do before and after an event, I found I became far less stressed at the event itself, and I started to enjoy amazing outcomes and opportunities. It was a game changer. But from talking to and training people into how to network successfully, I've discovered that, just like my old self, most people do not pay much attention to the pre- and post-event stages. Instead, they put a lot of pressure on themselves to turn up and say all the right things, meet the right people, and distribute all their cards and brochures during the event itself. This is not only daunting and exhausting, it's not very effective either. I'm going to show you a better way. The book, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, is now available on Amazon in print, on Kindle, and now on audio also. Go get your copy today, then come and join us in the Dream Clients Club to get further resources to help your networking journey. Go to melittacampbell.com/club to join us. Meantime, check out the book, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, on Amazon. I look forward to seeing you on the podcast next week and welcoming you to the Dream Clients Club.